please.
Okay, what's up everybody? Thanks for joining us here for our second episode of Unforced Errors. If you're joining us this week, that means that you like what you saw last week, so we'll continue to give you the same type of quality.
Or we'll see. It depends.
Yeah, we'll take it match by match.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'm Chris Cato,
I'm Matthew Leverison.
Yeah, and we're very glad you guys could join us.
So real quick, we're going to go into this week's topics. Paris just ended.
Yep.
And what I have to say was actually a spectacular tournament. Normally these ATP Tour events can be kind of iffy because,
especially at the end of the season.
Exactly, top guys tend to go down early, and because of course it's not a major, why would they care? But I mean, this year outside of Federer, who lost what was like 7-6, 6-7, 7-6 to Isner in like the third round, all the top 8 to 16 players were there. Like it was great stuff. Obviously Djokovic won, which means for anyone who watched last week, Chris was right. He beat my guy Murray in the finals. Again, I have to reiterate, the only reason I picked Murray was because, again, you guessed first.
Yeah.
Some people have it easier than others around here. What was your takeaway? What was your big takeaway from this week, Chris?
Well, I think the big takeaway was pretty much what we've been seeing for the last 11 months. And that's just been Djokovic dominating the entire field. And, I think this week what really impressed me the most was just how much better he was than everybody. And it really seemed like when he was out there, there wasn't a single doubt in his mind that he would lose even a set almost.
Yeah, you kind of got the feeling once Federer went down that there was really no one in his way. Like it was going to take a career day for anyone else to beat him, and that's what it's taken all year with you look at Wawrinka and Murray, really the two losses in his year that stand out to me. Those guys played probably their best matches in their careers.
Yeah.
Right? To beat him, and so I totally agree. I just think, as much as I'm a huge Nadal and Fed fan, you can't deny right now that every tournament you're going into, okay, who has the advantage against Djokovic? It's not necessarily you're picking from a field of 4. It's just you're picking from a field of 30,
right? And
just who can beat him.
Yeah, it's more of who. It's not the question of who the favorite of the tournament is. It's who's going to beat Djokovic.
Who's the favorite to beat Djokovic,
exactly.
right?
Right.
And most of the time it's Djokovic. If Djokovic is probably the most likely to beat himself, realistically.
Yeah, and even at this point now, I don't even think that's a possibility anymore.
He's really mentally sound, which is really nice to see. A lot of there's a kind of a theory, not a theory out there, but a view out there from a lot of outsiders that tennis players can be rich and snotty and whatnot, and you see a lot with guys like Kyrgios coming up. And as much as I love his game, he can be a little bit of a beach. Pardon the French for any kids at home. And Djokovic was just like that, but now he's gotten more to the point where he doesn't expect to win.
Sure.
Despite the fact that he probably should expect to win, he goes in with the mindset every single match of, I should win, but I have to do everything right.
Exactly.
And when he has that mindset, he's unstoppable.
Okay, so moving on now from Djokovic's historic week in Paris, we go just to a quick rankings updates for the men's side. So with Murray's final performance in Paris, that moves him up to number 2 in the rankings. Also puts him almost 1,000 points ahead of Federer.
Which is actually quite surprising when you consider the fact that Federer actually has more wins this year.
Yeah.
But it's
titles.
More titles. And so I think it just shows you that I think right now Federer isn't worried about his record or about his ranking. He's more worried about the titles, more specifically the major, right? So as much as it's great for Murray, I think he's secured the year-end number 2 ranking for the first time in his career. Good for him, but I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that Federer is the better player.
Yeah, I have to definitely agree. And also another mover on the week from his week in Basel and in Paris, good results, is Rafael Nadal.
Yes.
His last couple of wins and final performances moved him to number 5 in the ranking. So he's back in the top 5, which is perfect timing just before the World Tour Finals. What do you make of his kind of good run in the fall season here?
When I look at Nadal right now, I look at a guy who, at number 5, that's perfect. Because let's be realistic here, he can't beat Djokovic. I think he needs good conditions, like outside on clay or something like that, to beat a Federer. He can't beat Murray. And Wawrinka is 50-50. Like, it depends on who shows up. So I think right now at number 5 is the perfect ranking for him to help represent exactly where he is at his game.
Yeah.
He's still got a long way to go, obviously, but I'm very happy to see him at number 5, mainly because sort of the bigger his ranking, the earlier we get to see Federer Nadal matches or Djokovic Nadal matches. But number 5 is good because I think all the guys behind him he can beat, all the guys in front of them should be able to beat him. So that to me sums up his years. Number 5 in the world, not terrible, but still a guy you still really got to look out for, no matter who you are.
Of course.
But at the same time, a guy who most people in the top 10, you look at it, should be able to win a set or be able to compete with him.
Yeah, and I think the big takeaway for me was similar to Federer's year in 2013 when his ranking slipped all the way to number 7.
My God, that was a weird sight, eh?
Weird
Do you
number,
remember that?
Yeah, exactly. Weird number to have beside his name, and people were questioning, well, he's done and all these sort of things, but he had a very good run at the end of the year in Basel, in Paris, had semifinals at the World Tour Finals in London, then came out in 2014, and of course we know how good of a year he had.
Exactly.
So,
made the finals and, arguably could have won if it wasn't for his back last year.
Yeah.
Got the Davis Cup, and then again this year made more steps, getting to the major finals. Although, obviously 2014, probably his best shot at the major at Wimbledon.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that it's kind of deja vu. The same thing's happening with Nadal, where rough year from basically January to August, September, but now we're starting to see him build some confidence, and I think that if he can go into the off season with a bunch of good results under his belt, he'll go back to Spain, train hard, and hopefully see a good result from 2016. So now what we'll do is we'll take a look at the ATP Hot Shots of the Week from Paris, courtesy of the ATP World Tour. So enjoy these fantastic shots.
Made it. Would you believe it? What an exchange.
There towards the end. Not known for his hand skills. Normally just comes to the net to finish off points in one volley, but 3-4 in a row there, that was special.
Is completely...
He's almost moved past this on the way through. Absolutely scandalous. Got to get out of the way there, otherwise he's going to headbutt it.
I mean, look at that camera work as well. I'm not sure what's better, the camera work or the shot. Look at that. Shot of the tournament by a country mile.
We'll get into some end of the season report cards now that basically we can call the regular season of tennis over. other than the best top 8 in the men's, they're pretty much done their season except for Davis Cup. So we'll just go over a little bit of report card grades for a couple of players that we thought maybe should have had bigger years or had maybe above expectations. So I'll start with the Canadian favorite, and of course a player that we follow closely too, Milos Raonic. Started the year off inside the top 10.
Yep.
I think he got to as high as number 5 this year. Of course, not the year that he had in 2014. Some injury troubles. What grade would you assess Mr. Raonic?
This is tough because I don't think there was anything he could have done. I mean, realistically, when you have a career year, and we see it all the time when you're a young player, when you have a career year, naturally, you're going to go a little down here in the second year, downhill in the second year. Let's see if I can speak some English. I'm gonna give him a B.
Okay.
I'm gonna give him a B, and I know you're probably gonna go a little lower than that. Here's my thing, though. His game didn't change. He didn't get any worse. His only issue were his injuries. And I think he rushed his way back too quickly. He was focused so much on defending his points, getting into majors, getting into the Rogers Cup. I don't think it was anything technically wrong or anything. I just think mentally he didn't make the right decisions for his career.
Sure.
I still think he's a top 5 player in the world.
Yeah.
I think, he's a guy who could probably beat, the likes of Nadal, Wawrinka, and Murray next year, but I think this year he was just a little hampered with injuries. Nothing he could have done. It happens to everybody except Djokovic.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to go that much lower. I'm just going to give him a B-.
Okay.
I'm not going to say much more. I completely agree with what you said. I think it's injuries that he couldn't do much about. I think the only thing going forward for him is just to improve his fitness so that these sort of things don't happen. I mean, he is a bigger guy.
So we're going to stay with the Canadian topic here, and we're going to go a little bit farther down the rankings here. A guy who I don't think gets talked about nearly enough. Vasek Pospisil had a very up and down year.
Sure.
What's your grade for him?
I think I'm just going to give him a B+.
Okay.
I think singles-wise, probably not the best year.
No.
Not as good as 2013, of course, when he had his biggest run of
his
career.
He was seeded for a couple tournaments.
Sure, he made the semifinals at the Rogers Cup.
Yeah.
But I think that he had a couple of good results. Quarterfinals at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
A couple of good results here and there at the 500 events. But
and in that quarterfinal to an interview, he played spectacular tennis.
Very well.
If it was against anyone other than Murray or obviously the 2 guys ahead of Murray, he very likely would have made a semifinal.
Sure,
so obviously losing the quarterfinal had nothing to do with him playing poorly. It was he just met up with a guy who was playing spectacular tennis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the reason I gave him a B+ is just because of his doubles performances. Being able to play doubles at the same time with Jack Sock and a couple of other partners as well. They made the final here in Paris, and had they won that match, they would have qualified for the World Tour Finals, which unfortunately they didn't. But the fact that he's in the top 10 rankings in the doubles, I mean, he is a Grand Slam champion in doubles. It's pretty impressive the way he's able to manage both. So I think a B+ for Vasek this year.
My issue this year is it should have been his year to get back to the level he was at in 2013 or even better.
That is a fair point.
He showed signs of it, yes. However, for a guy who we all thought, we all thought, I honestly believed that by now we'd have 2 Canadians inside the top 10.
Yeah.
Plus Bouchard already have won a couple majors. I'm giving him a C- because he didn't take that step.
Sure.
He, to me, was just as good as he was last year, which was not very good.
Yeah. Before we go, I'm going to leave you probably the best for last, I think. So,
all right, there. Get off your high horse there, buddy. Come on.
Speaking of, the best players in the world, Djokovic and Murray, last week about the two-handed backhand.
The right way to hit a backhand.
You gave a great lesson there. I think a lot of people were happy with that one.
I can smell the condescension, in here.
And now, this week, we're going to look at the other side of the fence. And, it's no coincidence that the greatest player of all time, Roger Federer, has a one-handed backhand. And it's no coincidence that I have it either. So this week, we're going to take a look at how to hit a proper one-handed backhand. And more in particular, if you want to hit your backhand similar to Stan Wawrinka. So let's take it to Chris now with your one-handed backhand analysis. What's up, everybody? So the shot this week that we're going to be talking about is the one-handed backhand. Personally, one of my favorites. The one-handed backhand, not used too much in today's generation of tennis players, but definitely it's one of the most beautiful tennis strokes that we have. So I'm just going to teach you a couple of important tips that you should be doing if you're hitting a one-handed backhand, and also if you're considering switching to a one-handed backhand. So more in particular, how to hit your backhand like Stan Wawrinka. So as anybody has seen Stan Wawrinka, you know that he has probably the best backhand, one-handed backhand in men's tennis right now. And he's definitely a good reference point to see of what kind of technical things he's doing during his stroke. So we're going to cover that, and we're also going to show you a couple of examples of what to do and what not to do. First thing on a one-handed backhand is really important because you don't have that extra hand on there for support, so the timing is everything. So it's really critical that when you're contacting the ball with the one-handed backhand, it's always out in front. So on most tennis strokes, you want to be hitting the ball out in front of your body, but it's especially important on the one-handed backhand because an inch of mistiming or just being late to the ball is going to cost you your entire shot. So you really want to make sure that you're contacting the ball out in front and of course on the center of your strings at all times. So the second thing, and another important thing you want to do, is you want to make sure that you have a proper grip. So we'll talk about grips in another video, but just quickly to reference it here, you want to make sure that you have the kind of a motorcycle grip on the one-handed backhand. So with my hand just like that, and you'll see the racket is even and parallel to the side of the court. So when I'm contacting the ball, I'm straight on, I'm not tilting it or doing any of that. So once we have that, when you're making contact with the ball, you want to make sure that you're making a fist toward the ball. So as you see in the clip here with Stan Wawrinka, you'll see as he goes to make contact with the ball, he's making a fist toward the ball. And the last thing I basically will just talk about is when you're making contact with the ball, you want to make sure your head and your eyes are always on the ball until you release to the point of contact. Once the ball has left your racket and is over the net, that is when you can look up. So that is key. If you look at this short clip here of Federer when he's hitting his one-handed backhand, you'll see just how little his head doesn't even really move, and he does not take his eye off the ball until it has completely left his racket and is outside the frame. So that's really key in getting that consistent swing into your one-handed backhand, as keeping your eye on the ball is very crucial with the one-handed backhand, but also with other shots as well. And then just the last thing, very important that we use your very important that you use your lower body here. So bending your knees low to the ground and also rotating your upper body, as all that strength and power in your one-handed backhand is going to come from your abdominal core area and also your legs and hips. So that's really important here if you want to improve your speed and power on your one-handed backhand. Okay, thanks Chris. So another good lesson, and we hope that you can take what we've taught you last week and this week and apply it to a court near you sometime soon. So that's about all the time that we have for this week. Matt, it was another spectacular, what is it, November 9th today here in Ottawa. And we are outside. We are just about to actually get on court and hit some balls. It's very beautiful weather, so...
We're not playing tennis, though.
Yeah.
No, we are.
We're very happy to bring you these outdoor episodes for now.
Yeah, for now.
And we're glad that you guys could join us for another week. So leave your comments below in the comment section. Let us know if you want to see any other topics, or maybe, you know, change a couple of things, or anything really of what you guys think that we should include in the show. It would be much appreciated.
And one other thing to add real quick, we have our pro lessons that we like to do. However, if, like Chris said, if you have any questions about it for us, or better yet, if you guys even wanted to send in some videos of you hitting, that way we can, you know, help make our lessons a little bit more personal, more to you. I mean, that's what we do best, right? We teach one-on-one. We're really good with that. So if you guys want to send us some quick videos of you hitting, ask, you know, what's wrong with my serve? Why aren't I volleying well? We'd be more than happy to help you guys out. You don't have to take anything we say literally. We're just here as another opinion because you got to stay informed. It's incredibly important.
Absolutely.
So for this week, I'm Matt Levrison.
I'm Chris Cato, and remember to keep those unforced errors down.
Point, please.